All right. Today I want to do a quick weekly chart technical analysis update where we'll look at all of the indices with the price action and the technical indicators. And remember, I do have a tutorial below on how to set up your TrendSpider charts to look just like this. I also want to remind you that TrendSpider's Black Friday sale is currently ongoing where you can have massive savings for the monthly and the annual plans. So if you've been considering TrendSpider to get access to these technical tools and the unusual options widget, now is a great time to take advantage of that Black Friday sale, which I'll put in the description below. All right, so first, looking at SPY's weekly chart, we can see that we did get a weekly breakout above the downtrending resistance trend line, which could be telling us this was a correction within a bull market, and we're resuming the bull market to go back up towards the previous all-time high. Now, to get back to the previous all-time high, we're going to need to break this previous weekly high right around 457. And as you can see, we are just now getting the breakout. So there's still the possibility the price action is going to need a pullback to retest the breakout within this support zone in the 430s, around 440 to 436. And then from there, with that retest, it's possible we continue to push higher towards the previous all-time high, or at least the top of this range right around 457. Now, at the top of that range, we could get another pullback to do some sort of cup and handle before we go to the previous all-time high. But in the bullish scenario, in the next few weeks up to the next couple of months, this is the sort of price action you should be paying attention to with that price target up there at 457. Now next, I want to jump over to the Triple Q's weekly chart, and you can see the Triple Q's also had the bull breakout above the downtrending resistance trend line. And we are currently getting a weekly close above the weekly range, which was that resistance at 383.5. Now, just like SPY, this is obviously a very bullish breakout. And let's just assume the Triple Qs are leading the way. It's possible the Triple Qs will only need a retest of this breakout in the 380s and then continue pushing higher towards the previous all-time high. Now, this is only in an extremely bullish case. It's possible we come all the way back down to retest in the 370 zone, but do not rule out the possibility with the weekly close above 383 that we're just in a very extremely bullish market that's only going to get a minor retest before we continue higher, mostly due to the fact that above 383 on the weekly chart, it does look like blue skies all the way higher towards 400 to 404. Then if we jump over to the Dow Jones weekly chart, you can see that I sketched out I thought we would go higher towards 350, and that's exactly what we did this week. But from 350, I thought we would likely come back down and retest the breakout right around 338. And then continue higher towards 355 and then potentially higher if we break that. So a lot of the indices are starting to get bull breakouts, especially above the downtrending resistance trend lines. But keep in mind, usually after you get a breakout, you usually get a retest before you resume that trend higher. On the Russell 2000 IWM weekly chart, we are now getting back above what looked like a very scary rejection at that downtrending resistance trend line and the previous support, which was that very critical level to break above for the bulls, above 174. And the bulls did do that this week, but now they need to stay above that level at 174. So what I would like to see in the small caps on the IWM is at least a retest of that zone, and then we can start pushing all the way back to the top of this range at 197, which would be an incredibly bullish move that we need to see because the market breadth is very narrow. We are now at the point in this market where the small caps cannot be in a bear market while the S&P and the Triple Qs are trying to push out in a bull market. So if you're bullish on the market as a whole, you really want to see these small caps holding this breakout of this retest and then pushing to the top of that range. So then jumping back over to SPY, let's throw on the technical indicators, and you can see that we still have the weekly squeeze, which is still squeezing, and we are now back above the weekly 20-period moving average with the weekly RSI above 50 and the MACD pivoting around 0, trying to cross back over. What is more than likely going to happen in SPY is if we are going to get this weekly squeeze fired to the upside, then we are obviously going to resume a bull trend that could carry us out into 2024. But at some point before this squeeze fires, I think we're going to see a very sizable pullback to retest the 20-period moving average on the weekly chart before we can get a higher low strong enough to push us to higher highs. Now to illustrate that, I want to jump over to the Triple Qs, and you can see the last time we had a weekly squeeze on the Triple Qs was back here in February. It fired sometime in April of this year, and we had that very parabolic rally through the summer. But before that weekly squeeze fired back here in March, we had the breakout above the 20-period moving average, and then we had the pullback back down to the 20-period moving average to test it as support. And then the weekly squeeze fired weeks later after what was a 4 to 5 week pullback, and then we had the very strong rally. So do not rule that out as a possibility here with the weekly squeeze, that even if we keep pushing higher, eventually we're going to need a sizable pullback before that squeeze fires to the higher direction, which could easily put us out into later next year before we see a lot of that squeeze energy firing to the upside. Now with that being said, we still have bullish momentum with the weekly RSI above 50 and the MACD above 0 trying to cross over, but we have no official crossover yet. So while this is starting to look like a bull breakout, we really need that retest of the higher low to confirm it. On the Dow Jones technicals, you can see prices above the weekly 20 period moving average. The MACD is trying to cross over and stay above 0. We have the weekly squeeze and the weekly RSI is above 50. So again, we're getting a lot of the same read across the Dow Jones, the S&P, and the Nasdaq 100. Where we're seeing the difference is on the Russell 2000 small caps. The MACD is currently below 0. The weekly squeeze already fired to the downward direction, but now possibly starting to reverse momentum. And the weekly RSI is just now getting up to test 50. On top of that, the price action is rejecting below a negatively sloping 20 period moving average on the weekly chart. So we still don't have the confirmation that the small caps are joining this rally, which is making it easier to doubt this vertical rally that we've seen, because it's possible with these vertical rallies that they're just bear market relief rallies because they have no higher low structure. So if you look at the small caps, there's still reason to be concerned, and there's still reason to doubt the vertical rally that we're getting in the S&P, and we're very close to knowing whether or not the small caps are going to hold this breakout above 174, or if it's going to fail and get another rejection and continue lower. So if you take all of that into account and you go back over to the S&P, it's a very narrow breadth market where a lot of the stocks moving the market are narrowly focused in those top 7 or 10 mega caps. It doesn't have to stay that way, and something's got to give eventually. Either the small caps are going to join the bull rally, or we're eventually going to start seeing the selling in those top 10 names as well. So in summary, on the weekly chart, I think it's very important to understand what's going to happen during the pullback is going to tell the whole story. When you're getting these very vertical rallies, it's very difficult to know if it's bearish or bullish because it could be either. And it's not until during the pullback we see whether or not we're going to get a higher low, or if we're just putting in lower highs before we continue into a bear market. So looking at SPY, that level to break at 457 will be critical in breaking out to a higher high, and that could confirm the higher low was right there at SPY 410. And looking at the triple Qs, you can see we're very close to breaking that intra-month high in July. And then that could cement the fact that the triple Qs are also have their higher low, and now we're just needing a simple pullback before we continue higher. So things are looking bullish in the short term, and bear market relief rallies always do look bullish as well. So I'm not telling you whether or not it's one or the other. I'm telling you that during the pullback, it's going to give us all of the information we need. And there's no reason to chase these vertical rallies because there's going to be plenty of trade opportunities later during the pullback, and you're going to get much better risk reward ratios during that period anyway. So try not to worry too much of whether or not we continue to go higher or lower from here. Just understand it's very risky to chase vertical moves. So if you're buying up here, you need very good risk management, because when the selling starts, we could see a significant pullback that could take us to much lower prices. And then if we put in the higher low at that time, then we can say we're still in a bull market. So don't forget to take advantage of TrendSpider's Black Friday sale. And if you want to set up your charts to look like this, just click on the TrendSpider tutorial, which I'll put in the description below. I'm also running the Black Friday sale on bank trade alerts, where you can also get 50% off your first month of bank. And if you're interested in joining the Stocks Channel Discord server, you can find out how to do that by clicking on the link below as well. So thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you're crushing this market. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.